down for half a second. Light whatever you brought with you. Cigars, smokes, joints, coffee, whiskey. I don't judge. You didn't come here for fairy tales. You came for truth, steel, and motor oil. This ain't clickbait. This ain't influencer nonsense. This is real biker news told by a man who's lived it, seen it, and survived it. From the streets to the clubhouse, from the old guard to the new blood. Welcome to Biker News Canada. And the man behind the curtain, the voice they don't want quiet, the pen that wrote Playpen, the mind that never shut off, Bob Jarvie. So sit back. Let the truth hit harder than a straight pipe at midnight. And remember, once you hear it here, you can't unhear it. Now here's Bob.
It's like, there I am. Hey, how's everyone out there today? And let me get that mic down here close to me. How's everyone out there today in YouTube and Facebook world? We're doing live again tonight. Bob's back, Biker News Canada. Interview got postponed for a week with my friend Bo. I'll have him on next Thursday, if humanly possible. But I don't think I can do my interviews over TikTok. I'm doing the TikTok live again tonight too. Give that a shot. I want to keep that going, see how it goes during my regular news programs. So anyway, you guys had asked for it a few times before. So I think tonight we're going to go and we'll revisit the Shedden Massacre. Before we do, I do my shameless plug. The book's out there. I have a book out about my time in the 1% Motorcycle Club, all the crazy shit that I lived through. You type one night at the playpen right into the Amazon search bar, and this book will pop up. Or contact me on any social media direct messaging. And if I don't respond right away, it's just because I haven't checked it. I'll find it. And it's an e-transfer thing, and then I sign it to you, and you get a signed copy. So $30 for the book alone, and $40 for the book, and a cool little embroidered patch. For the two of them, it's $40, $30 for the book alone. All right. There's my sales plug for today. We still don't have the merch site up and live yet, but there's a merch site getting built. I can't wait till we have the merch site. I think it'll be a great time. Gonna raffle some Harleys on it and shit like that. So stay tuned for that. It will happen one of these days. Okay, so I get in the chat here on the YouTube side of life, and then we'll get going with our story here. We got Kay Wayne's in the house. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, the boss got a Canada. That's me, bro. Then we got Mama Iron Ranger. 81 support. Good to see you tonight, Mama Iron Ranger. Always a pleasure. We got Kurt's in the house. Good to see you tonight, Kurt. Always a pleasure, my brother. And what do we got over here? We got Stranger Things fans over here. We got RJ. We got Beach Girl. Thanks for joining up and checking out tonight, guys. So like I say, I figured tonight we'll go over the old Shedden Massacre. One of the craziest biker stories ever happened in Canada, except for maybe the Sherbrooke thing, I guess, before that. So, Kurt, be a good show, because you knew Wayne. Yeah, I knew Wayne. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Surgeon's World Lair Don Crawford recently passed. He repulled it. The old peeps up. Oh, really, eh? That's crazy. We got T-Row 777 in the house. Thanks for popping in this evening, T-Row. Pleasure to see you. Anytime you see me live, chop on in to the chat and give you 2 cents worth. The only chat that I really interact with at this time is the YouTube chat, just because it's right there in front of my face. The TikTok chat is a little bit smaller. Yes, and yes. I did do a thing about Phil there the last episode, and again, my heartfelt condolences to his family. And he had a ton of friends. And he had even more people that just loved the guy. And like I say, he was around the motorcycle community for a long time. He he was there for everything. You know, he started in the Choice, and then made his way into Quebec, and went red and white along that way, and then you know the patch over in 2000 and all that stuff. So he was there for everything. So good for him, and he was a cool guy. Everyone that knew him liked him. I went to pay him $5,000 one day, and he had a hat on his shelf that said "Witness Protection." I said, "What the fuck?" Someone gave it to during the trial. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, fuck Gary. Gary's in the house from Michigan. Good to see you tonight, Gary. It's always a pleasure to have you, man. All right, so I'm assuming everyone's pretty much heard of the Shedden Massacre if you're from Canada. Even if you're not from Canada, it was pretty big news back then, right? So it involved the Banditos because the Banditos decided they were going to try Canada out and open up some chapters up here and all that stuff. And 81 had already come in Ontario. So I guess Banditos US said, well, we may as well slide on in there too because it's kind of everything's kind of, you know, a little bit turbulent right now and all that shit. So we'll try to throw in a chapter too and or two. And I don't know how they got hooked up with Wayne, but they did. And he was a loon. RJ, oh, you're from the Nickel, are you? Right on, bro. Thanks for dropping in, man. I appreciate that. I do. And Carla as well, too. Thanks for dropping in, Carla. And Bobby dropped in on the other side, on the YouTube side. Good to see you tonight, Bobby. Yeah, so I think the guys in Canada contacted the guys in the States for the for the chapter in Ontario, right? And it was they were the loners at that time out of Chatham. Now the boxer was a really good guy. It was funny that same year, no, not that year, I guess, because we all got arrested in what 2001. So the year that we all got arrested, I think it was the last year that they had the bike show at the London Progress Building at the London Fairgrounds. So, and it was also pretty new to 81 being in Ontario and all that. And I was in the club I was in the third big three club out of that group. So in London that year, we decided we'd try to keep the peace and see if we can get on a handshaking and not a fisticuff on site situation with everybody. So after the bike show on the Friday night, we invited the Banditos over, and they came, but Wayne didn't come. Boxer was there, and a bunch of his other guys. They had a bunch of guys from the Toronto area, and so I'd say 8, 10 of them came, whatever it was, and they had a good night. Always respectful. We had a good laugh, good people, and all that. And then the next night, we invited Red and White over. And the same thing, we'll know each other sort of thing, right? It's the biker world back then wasn't a big, there's only so many people in the biker world in Ontario. And pretty much everyone who'd been around for a while knew everyone else, no matter what club you were in. So, and then, this happened in September, I believe. Oh, in April. So Wayne didn't follow rules. No, he did not. Like every clubhouse story says, what you hear here stays here. Or the best one, if you're not bleeding when you leave, you're welcome back. Nice. Hey, CMT, TNT, good to see you tonight, brother. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate it. We got Chris in the house. Chris is from my town. Good to see you, Chris. Yeah, we got my friend Steve from Havelock. Go to shake to her hand. Oh, yeah. Good to see you tonight, Steve. It would have been a scary night that night. Yeah, you would have been lying. You said when you got dark, you left. Yeah, you always leave Wayne's house when it got dark. So, and if nobody ever heard of this Wayne Calistine guy, he was from the London area. He was in a few other clubs. He was in my old club for a short period, and then my old club convinced him to open his own club, and he called it the Annihilators. And we kind of used it kind of like a support club and stuff like that. It was all before my time, mind you. But Wayne was a crazy nut. He just was. I knew three guys myself personally that he put lead into. He didn't put them down, but he put lead into the at least three guys that I know of. You know, one guy in the butt, one guy here. He was just that's what he did, right? And there's other stories about him and the cop, the cop killer from Ingersoll. That was his last place he was seen. Was out at the farm, and he had a small farm just outside of London, Ontario. We used to have Cossacks in Canada, but that didn't last long. Yeah, that's right. Isn't that where Walter Stadnik first came from? Was Cossacks? I think if I remember the books I've read, that's what I read. Laird Calder's in the house. Good to see you tonight, brother. Much love. All the way from BC. And Gyro Lamb's in the house. Yeah, he was just a bit of a whack job, old Wayne was, and he didn't see it, right? So what are you gonna do, right? He thought and you know, I met him another time inside the jail at a social and stuff, and I think outside of jail he lived like he was still inside of jail. He kind of had to look over his shoulder and stuff because he wasn't a very big dude, and he knew he had a lot of people that didn't really dig him, love him, but he always got through his jail bits. In fact, I think he's still hanging out his last home jail was Joyceville. I don't know if he's still there because I heard that became a real big Muslim jail. I can't see him hanging out in a Muslim jail, but you know, you're in jail. Sometimes you got no choice. All good. He was cave, I guess. Have you gone on tour set? Oh, on tour set. Yeah, I've been. It was sponsor. You and Dean. Yeah. No names. Bob, did you ever do a show about the Outlaws 81? No, I haven't done that one yet. No. Thanks for bringing that up. I've spoken about it because it was brutal. But yeah, I should do a proper show about it. That's a good point. Thanks, bro. We'll get one of them happening. We got Grant in the house. Good to see you, Grant. Heard he's out. Oh, okay. He might have got shipped. That might have happened. Guys like that give the club some clout, though sad as it is to admit. And sometimes it also gets the club into a war that they didn't know they were going to get into, right? So it can swing both ways. But yeah, you're right. You're right. If you got one guy who's absolutely 100% not afraid to put lead in the air, then the word goes out that you've got that guy. And, you know, that's just what it is. It is what it is. So they were giving the Bandito thing a shot, and like you say, Wayne got involved, and I don't think these guys in Chatham really knew how crazy the man could get, right? And there might have been, you know, some nights when things got a little bit messed up, if you know what I'm saying, and one night turned into 6 days and shit like that, you know what I mean? And after 4 or 5 days, you're literally seeing shit, right? So who the hell knows? I'm just kind of going over the dates and stuff here on Wikipedia and all this shit. Make sure I go. Now I heard some different stories about why it happened, some thefts of products and stuff. You know, it was really bad because I was out of the club by this time, and I was out of jail by this time when all this happened. And a little time before that happened, when it happened? In 04, it says, right? 06, yeah. So I was living in Toronto with my wife and kids, and the tire rod broke on my old lady's car, and the front tire bent underneath of this and that. And I was hanging out with guys because I always did who owned shops and garages and stuff like that. So I called my buddy. I said, I need a cheap tow over the shop. I need to borrow the hoist and fix my car. And the tow truck guy that came in and hooked my car and took it for me was one of the victims of that night. An old guy that used to be that came from the Rock Machine, because that was the original intention. Was it was going to be that the Banditos patched in the Rock Machine, not the Loners. But it just. Well, it didn't work out because the peace talks had it in Quebec that a lot of the rock machine patched over to 81, so it wasn't needed. You know what I mean? People don't know what to guys like that because you can't intimidate. Right, Gyro? Like they're one of the biggest, meanest, people that's known to eliminate people in the city. Caught lead from him, so you know what I mean. I don't think he thought he was going to catch anything from them. I think he thought he was going to put the hands on, and Wayne, it wasn't like that. He wasn't into letting people put hands on him. Wait a minute, but some guys were nuts. Maybe Wayne looked, well, that could be Laird. Yeah, that could be. Rabbit from that area was not to be fucked with. A lot of guys back in London back then were not to be effed with. You know what I mean? A little female cousin, Michigan had a vodka show and carry back in the day in Rice. Wow, crazy, eh? I knew guys who have full patch outlaws that had uh, concealed licenses from going from state to state, and they were in the club. So it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know who Rabbit is. Uh, Unfortunately, we did tattooing on Queensman Rodeo in Chatham in the mid 80s. Joker's Smoker, nice. That'd be fun. And the Queensmen are still kicking it, man. They're doing a barbecue every summer for charity and stuff. They're still kicking it. I did a show about them not too long ago. Just because they're still kicking it. They're doing their thing. Nomadic Pirate, thanks for dropping in, brother. Good to see you tonight. Yeah, I figured we'd do it tonight because the interview got postponed. And the Cossacks, isn't that what's happening in Texas with those Cossacks and then the other clubs, 1% Cossacks, and they're beefing each other in Texas? Sorry. I think that's what you're thinking of, Gyro. So yeah, they're down there. There was a bunch, Skunk and Rab. I remember the name Skunk. I love carrying. Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, Wayne and Skunk and Rab were the guys in my area that we were young bucks. They were young bucks as you were kids. I get it. I think an outlaw probate kill Yves Bateau, first 81 president in Quebec. Wow, eh? That was just after the Popeyes flipped, and then the choice in Montreal changed to outlaws. But yeah, I'll do some digging and see if I can get a good show together about that. I didn't realize that. What am I asking you? QQ know which one? QQ know which one? Yes, sir, those boys branched off us to Twin Peaks. Oh, right on. Oh, okay, I get it. So you were one of them. Interesting. Good to meet you. Nice. Gyro, there are two different Cossacks in the States, the Texas Bunch and some in Washington State. Holy moly. That's a popular name then, eh? But they're all dissolved now. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought there was some murder trials and shit going on in Texas from those clubs still. Skunk was a Queensman. A lot of you guys will know Rabbit. I heard the name Skunk a few times. Yeah, I'm trying to do the story. I always got to do through the fucking the chat. I always got to do through the chat. There, but had some paperwork. I don't know, but that one was also known as. Oh, if it was Apache, then yeah, Apache flipped at the end. Comments to make you happy. Good to see you tonight, brother. You're one of the originals. Oh wow, incredible. Good to meet you, bro. So the Cossacks, all the Cossacks in Texas are all gone now? Because that one guy, Hatchet, had a channel on TikTok. I used to check him out once in a while. That's tributary so far apart. How'd that happen? Yeah, and then like you say, there was the ones, I think Stadnik actually helped form the club, maybe, or maybe he just joined it and had it. Yeah, we'll do Shedden. Why not? Well, yeah, I want to give everyone a chance in the chat. Okay, so the court's still going on, but the clubs aren't. That's interesting. The ones in Washington are more of a riding club, which is sometimes looks like it's going to be the easiest way to go for clubs anymore, right? So where are we here? So anyways, like Wayne was the kind of guy that painted Swazis on the roof of his barn and cut them into the grass of, like, you cut the Swazi when he was cutting the grass, so you could see the logo when the cops were flying their planes over. And he would intimidate, or not intimidate, but pick on the cops once in a while. It's like you say, sometimes, he'd get a little bit, he'd get a little bit crazy. And this is just around the time. No, I keep getting my dates confused here. There's one of these guys in the crew from Winnipeg, the Sandom guy, that was a former policeman. And that's generally not something that you hear of too often in a 1% outlaw motorcycle club. Is you bring in a guy that's a former policeman. It's kind of like the ultimate of all snitches, right? That's what he did for a living. And they brought him in. So that was weird. The Hatcha was a counterfeit Cossacks, and he stepped down. They're no longer riding. Okay, I get it, bro. Thanks for letting me know that. I'm confused, guys. I know the other is also Quebecois. We got a brother from Quebec. He'll know. No disrespect to his name or memory. You're not talking about Phil, are you? Phil wasn't Apache Trudeau. They were different people, bro. As far as I know, didn't wave. Used to wave a Swazi flag during Pride. Yes, he did do that also. I remember bumping him one time at the bike show. He had on the long rider jacket, and he was alone at the bike show. And I was with Big Willie. He was like 6'5", right? And we approached each other, but we stayed about 10, 15 feet apart. And it was like, Willie goes to Wayne, "You all right, Wayne?" And he looks at Willie. He goes, "You all right, Willie?" They both said, "Yep." And we turned and walked away from each other. That was the whole fucking discussion. That guy was loaded for the fucking, under that long rider. He had everything going on under there, man. There wasn't no way there was nobody gonna get the drop on him, man. And Martina color, Martina color, and he was racist. Yeah, he was racist as fuck, bro. Well, most bikers did it for shock value. Put the Swazi on back in the 70s. You know what I mean? We don't allow it. Oh, the other club, you mean? Okay. And that was what the big beef was about. Some SOS thing, and it all got in the news, and holy Christ. And then the one guy that they said was the boss of the one club, it sounded like everybody fucking turned on him and became the rat in this case. Yeah, the former cop. Yeah, he did become the rat in this case. You're absolutely right. See? So that's why they have that rule. Not even correctional officers. You're absolutely right about that too. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have guys that have been on the other team coming, like when it comes to government or club, you know what I mean? It's bad enough taking guys from the other clean from club to club, which when I was around was supposed to be a no-no. But some clubs just said, fuck it, we're going to do whatever we want. And they did whatever they wanted. You and I both know there's guys feeding 5 information about the others to keep the heat off their doorstep. Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate that I seem to agree with you on how things are these days. It's not the same anymore. But even back then, maybe it was happening and we all just fucking would never admit to it. You know what I mean? How could you admit to a guy that you've been calling your brother for 10 years, has been working with the man for all them 10 years? Break your fucking heart, wouldn't it? I ran into Wayne. He was hanging with some real fuck ups. So I was kind of shaking my head. Yeah, but that's what Wayne did. When he got out of jail, he would start recruiting right away. And the last time he recruited, he got himself all the way into a Bandito back patch. He had that cat soldier with him who wasn't a bad guy for all things considered, and some other guys with him. And they were loyal to him. They had a short period there of wearing, dressing up like, Mr. Pink. What's that? Mr. Pink and Mr. Brown. That they were dressing up like the guys in that movie and all that shit, man. But yeah, he was always good at recruiting people. Hey, Craig, good to see you, brother. Thanks for popping in. So cool. In fact, some punk bands also did the Swazi thing. 100% they did. At the very start, you seen God Save the Queen band. They had some Swazi shit way at the very start. until, everyone, you can't do that. Hey, Snap, good to see you tonight, bro. Just got off work. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I missed it yesterday for absolutely no fucking reason. I didn't do anything yesterday, and I slept right through the the time. I didn't wake up till 10. Well, yeah, some of it was racist and some of it wasn't. I think in Wayne's case, I would lean more towards it was. You know what I mean? The informant in this case was that ex-cop. I'm not really talking much about the story, am I? Sorry, guys. I guess I should go back to the story. All right. He was like, well, because he'd do shit. Yeah, yeah. You're right. He would do shit. He would do shit that nobody would do. Yeah. So anyway, so these guys all got patched over. They say here in 01, which makes about the right. That lines up with what I remember with the boys from Chatham. But they also, like I say, had a big crew out of Toronto. So they had Toronto, and I think the guys from Chatham ended up using Wayne's place for their CH more or less. And then in 04, they opened up the one in Winnipeg, and that's where they picked up the ex-cop who turned out to be a snitch when all this went down. Now, I guess from what he said in interviews and stuff, like a snitch will always do in a case like this. So they'll try to make themselves sound like they weren't that involved, but they had to be there, or they maybe whatever, I feared for whatever. But from what I've ever been told, he was one of the most guys who wanted to go do this thing, because they talked about it for a couple of days while they were staying awake and getting methed up and stuff before it all happened. And the weirdest part was they were surveilling Wayne at that time, and they had OPPs parked on his street, and they saw who was coming and going, and they watched all them guys from Toronto roll in. They watched them all roll in like late in the night, like middle of the night sort of thing, because he put the word out that we're having a church and it's important, it's a mandatory, and everyone's got to come. And the only ones that didn't come, and I met one or two of them, was the dudes that were doing time at the time, and those guys felt kind of weird because they were in jail for the club that didn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? So I was like, whoa, what happened there, right? Are you in a big storm in Virginia? Well, back to the chat. Sorry, everybody on TikTok. Yeah, we kind of had one a quick brushing over where I live this afternoon. It's heading east. And this Sandham guy, he came around the Outlaws for a minute too, trying to get an outlaw probate patch. And we were like, no, it's okay, sort of thing, And then he ended up hooking up with Wayne, and in a way they went, right? And like you say, I had the old guy's name was George. Wasn't he George? What is all this shit? Oh. They're talking about some beating up a Jamaican guy named Douse. I never heard about that one. Called Douse things at a party. Want to buy some fucking hoo-ha? So they put a gag in his mouth and beat him to death. What? I never even heard of this story. And then, of course, they were going hard on the N-word. And this is allegedly the guys in the club, Flans and all these cats. And they killed this black guy in one of their brother's apartment in Toronto. Well, he was at work being a bouncer in a bar. This is a crazy part of the story. I never heard none of this story before. I can't believe I haven't heard this story before. So let's start at Rift and the Banditos. Houston versus the No Surrender Crew. Yeah, that's what they called them up here. So on 6th of December 2005, drug dealer Sean Dowse was murdered. He had last been seen alive that day visiting the apartment of Bandito James Goldberg Flans in Keswick. 4 banditos were charged with his murder. A bandito, Cameron, was unhappy with Dowse and decided to kill him for selling nose candy to Acorn's girlfriend, sister. So these guys told him to stop giving her nose candy to his old lady's sister, and he didn't. Oh, and he possibly slept with her. Dowse was a worker at Chrysler in Bramalea, a drug dealer and a father of 2. So he's a busy guy. Flans was only a prospect of the Banditos. He agreed to let the full patch Banditos use his apartment in the hope that he might become a full patch Bandito. Bandito Robert so-and-so had his girlfriend call Dowse from her cell phone saying that she was at a party at Flans' apartment and wanted to buy some nose candy. The all-white Banditos hated Dowse, who was black Jamaican descent, and Quinn's girlfriend later testified in court. Dowse was often described as an N-word. The outlaw bikers are often white supremacists. This is coming from Wikipedia. And we know that's just old, it's old wives' tales. And Dowse arrived at the apartment by a taxi, and I take it this has all been through the courts, and they put a gag in his mouth and beat him to death. And he screamed repeatedly as he was beaten to death in Flans' basement, saying, "I'm sorry, but no mercy was granted," and he was considered just whatever, and they killed him. Wow. And then Flans came home from work as a bouncer, and he was shocked to discover that his fellow banditos had killed Dowse in his apartment. I'd be shocked too, saying this was extremely stupid as Dowse had arrived via taxi, meaning police would conduct the murder. Yeah, exactly. They connect the murder to him, and there's going to be DNA everywhere. Good thinking, boys. However, Flans was desperate to be promoted and become full patch, so he declined to report the murder and help clean up the crime scene. On the 8th of December, Dowse's burnt body was found. The OPP suspected Flans had been involved in the murder and tapped his phone. As part of the investigation of Dowse's murder, the OPP ultimately brought not only Flans, but the rest of the Toronto Bandito chapter under surveillance, tapping all their phones. So these guys were going to get all taken down for murder. Interesting. On December 28th, 2005, the American leadership of the Banditos, which had grown increasingly unhappy with Boxer's leadership, expelled him and his followers, charging that they were failing to make money, not paying their monthly dues because they did not have any money, and were going about business in a sloppy manner, leaving them wide open to prosecution. An officer with the Texas Department of Public Safety told journalists of the Globe and Mail because the numbers were so low in Canada, the U.S. Banditos had tried to separate them from Canada. When you get to the point that you're not even breaking even on drugs like any other trade, you decide to close the business. Now, that's a crappy thing to say because they don't know if you're not bringing anything back to the pot, your liability instead of an asset. So they make it sound like that's all there is to being in a 1% club. Like what they think that the guys from Texas sent them stuff up to. Come on. Boxer took the expulsions very badly after being ordered to return the Bandito patches of property. I call him Boxer because I can't pronounce his last name. Musketeer. No, I'll call him Boxer. Sent out an email to Bandito chapters around the world calling for a vote and allowing them to follow to stay. Jeff Pike, the world leader of the Banditos, emailed Boxer back that Banditos don't vote. They do what the fuck they're told. Well, there's also that, right? And so then these guys decided to call themselves the No Surrender Crew. After an ultra-violent faction of the IRA, the Irish Republican, and they refused the orders from the Banditos mother chapter in Houston to surrender their patches, say they were going to stay on as Banditos despite Pike's decision to expel them. Outlaw bikers attach enormous symbolic importance to their patch, which shows the club they belong to and their position is. The patch belonged to the club, not the men wearing them. That's 100% true. It must return if a member is expelled or resigns. 100% true. It is considered extremely offensive for someone to wear the patch of a club they do not belong to. 100% true, which often results in violence against anyone who does so. Okay, let's go back to the chat for a minute. Oh, no, you just, the ML and R, it just means much love and respect. And it's bjarvey67@gmail.com. And if you do e-transfers off your phone, that's the email address too. And of course, my name's Bob. And man, I'd really appreciate it. Much love to you. If you're able to, you guys, like I say, the donation thing is right down there. E-transfers up here in Canada, and the same email is used for my PayPal. If you're able to, and you're so wanting to, you don't have to. X cop equals snitch. You got that right, bro. Oh yeah, we got I scrolled right by him. Sorry about that, bro. We got Vegas profile stories in the house tonight. Good to see you tonight, brother. Thanks for popping in. Joker Smoke saying hi. Would be hate to be scary. Oh, that would have been a horrible night for them cats, man. Were you in jail with them? I was in jail with them. The young guy Brett was on our range, and my other buddy was in with he called him the fat guy. I think he meant Sandom. CMC and Joker. They didn't do background checks. I don't know if they didn't do background checks or if they thought it'd be cool to have an ex-cop. I really don't know. Hey, Craig, thanks for popping in tonight, brother. Good to see you. Handy Pelly, good to see you too. Yeah, we got one saying, hello to everyone. Explain. Okay, what was that? The last one you said was Laird. Where did you go? I was in jail. Oh, yeah, my buddy. He said he was in one of the ranges with one of these guys too. When they were waiting their trial. You know what I mean? No Surrender crew wrote bad by USA. Yeah, they were. 100% they were. So that's why Wayne called him to a meeting, because the American Banditos told him he's got to get the patches back, and they weren't upping him. So maybe at the end of the day, he was kind of doing what he was expected of him. But I'm sure if they were given the choice of let or give the patches back, they would have probably given the patches back. But who knows? Was it the other Craig that was a corrections officer? I think so, yes. It's not this Craig, is it? It's the other Craig, I believe. Why say on if you're not a recognized chapter? I never understood why guys do that either. I've seen that happen in Canada to another club too, and I was like, what? Why bother? You know, but everyone's got their own ideas, and they get thinking that they're going to be able to change things and whatever. Usually, generally, if you're in a big club, you don't change what the leadership is already declared. They've made their declaration. They've made their decision. They've already thought about it. Wayne was crazy, but he, no lady passed a couple years ago. She was, yeah. And his ex-old lady used to come to RCH. The girl, Linda with the cane, she was a good person, man. I liked her. And he did pass. I thought so. Was this, oh, well, you know, Hammer, your life's okay. Well, should be a good summer. I think she's living down here by Chatham. I think I heard that. We got Chris in the house from up north. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for popping in. I'm a frog. That's okay, brother. I expected you. You're doing pretty good, actually, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's Scottish gyro. Yep. That's my thing. That's why I hate to lose my temper, because then I just get all tunnel vision, and I don't like it. So we're still back to these guys who were told to give their shit back, and they wouldn't give it back. And apparently they went to a meeting. There's a place out in Washington State and British Columbia. I was there, and they kind of, and you can go there and talk to each other over the border. Now, allegedly, they went out there, and the guys from the States, and they had a meeting with Wiener, you know. Now, this is what they say. Now, this last paragraph, Pike was greatly displeased by the refusal of the No Surrender crew to return their patches. Together with boxers, called for a vote to allow the Toronto chapter to stay, bluntly announcing that the Bandito Nation was not a democracy, At the same time, Sandom was writing emails to Houston disavowing Boxer and the rest of the No Surrender crew, so they were separating themselves. So he was trying to get to keep his patch. Well, Toronto had to give back in the States. I think it had just told everyone in Canada, just give their shit back and forget about it. Sandom had also told Kalstein at this time that No Surrender crew were planning to patch over to the Outlaws without him, which was disinformation, but that would be just enough to get Wayne's head rolling towards what happened that night. So on 7th March 06, sorry, Sandom, Kalstein, and the younger Weish traveled to BC to visit on the Peace Arch Park. Oh, that's what I was telling you about, that place. So they did that, they could have that conversation across the border. So they got the names of the guys from the States and everything in this story. So it must have happened, right? So the guys from the States just reiterated, give us our shit back. And they sent up the National Sergeant at Arms, so they weren't fucking around. What if they didn't sneak him in? It would have been a lot easier just to sneak him in. The fact that Price had flown from Houston to meet Kalstein and Sandom on the Peace Arch Park suggested he had something especially important to say that he could not say on the phone or write in an email. Price further informed Kalstein that he would become the new Canadian Bandito president if he succeeded in pulling the patches of the No Surrender crew. While the Winnipeg chapter would be granted full patch, so they were prospecting in the Winnipeg guys, and that's where the ex-cop came from, making them into full members. Price concluded by stating that both warned by the Rogue Toronto chapter. That both Kalstein and Sandom would be expelled as well if they failed in removing the patches being worn by the Rogue Toronto chapter. At his trial in 2009, Sandom testified that Price, who was killed in Kalstein, would become the new leader of the Canadian Banditos as the reward. After the meeting at Peace Arch Park, Weiss chose to remain in Vancouver, though he regularly exchanged phone calls with Sandom. In his emails to his enemy Raspo after the meeting in Peace Arch Park, Sandom adopted a mocking, condescending tone of superiority as he was secure in the knowledge that Houston was on his side. Between 20 and 22 of March, Sandom again went to Vancouver to meet with American Banditos at the Peace Arch Park. The Winnipeg crew claimed that Sandom received a phone call from American Bandito Hawaiian Ken asking why the No Surrender crew were still wearing Bandito patches 5 months after being expelled, and accused them all of incompetence in allowing this situation to persist. I would have probably had the same thoughts if it's been 5 fucking months. So March 25th of 06, Sandom announced to his followers that he received orders from Houston to act against the No Surrender crew. So they were departing for Kalstein's farm without telling him they were coming. Sandom assured his followers that Kalstein had plenty of guns at his farm, but he brought along a bulletproof vest and a box of surgical gloves, saying he needed them to leave no fingerprints on the pew-pews that Kalstein would provide. While stopping in Dryden in Northern Ontario, Sandom received a phone call from his common-law wife, Kathleen, saying that Carlito Aragon had arrived in Winnipeg and was looking for him. Aragon had apparently been dispatched by Boxer in Salarino to end Sandom, who was seen as the source of their problems with Houston. Well, he kind of was, wasn't he? He's going behind their back. And see, this is a shit that when you're in a real club and you're playing with real men, this is the shit that honestly turns deadly. And it could be somebody who's just got that mentality of, I want to stir up shit, or I want to stay on the winning side, no matter what side it is. And if I got to, do something slimy, I just want to be on the winning side. You know what I mean? A lot of guys have that personality that you don't think that they have it. And that's the kind of people that they actually are. So where are we? When Sandom arrived at Kalstein's farm, he lied to him by claiming not to know why he had been sent there and told Kalstein that he would receive further orders from Houston Kalstein was surprised by Sandom's visit, but he quickly took charge of his guests and provided them with weapons from his hidden cache of arms he kept at this farm. Despite two lifetime bans on possessing weapons, the self-proclaimed gun nut, Kalstein, continued to collect guns and had a large collection of guns and ammunition. Kalstein also produced what he called his wet work kit for cleaning up after murders of hydraulic acid, rubber gloves, saying he always used his wet work kit after he killed somebody. Crazy man this guy was, or is. Arriving to help Kalstein with pulling the patches were Sandom and three other Winnipeg banditos. Dwight Mushy, I think that's who my buddy was on range with. Dwight Mushy. Marcelo, that's what he said. Marcelo, is that the same person? No, my buddy was in with Marcelo. Fat ass Aravina, a former iron worker from Calgary named Brett Bull Gardner, whom Mushy had recruited in the Banditos, another young man only known as MH. I bet you MH might have fucking wrote a statement or two. They even got him on Wikipedia, only his initials, eh? All right, let's drop back in the Kevin A. No, I wasn't in the search, bro. And in the pen, bro. I was in the bucket in London, and the bucket in the Sioux, the bucket in Sudbury, and the bucket in Penetang. But I didn't go into the big places. If I ever tell comments, tell me, Bob. No, that's okay, Kurt. Say what you got to, bro. Rick, when you going live? You going live tonight? Bob Hooper. Oh, hey, Doug, good to see you tonight, brother. Always a pleasure, my friend. Yeah, what's cop, how's cop? But Don Crawford was a kick-ass lawyer. He cost me $12,500. Holy fuck. And we walked out of the courtroom in 5 minutes. Well, that's worth it. If you got the $12,500, it's fucking worth it. MH is a snitch. Yep, you are correct, sir. Yeah, I was in the MDC. I think I was 5 and 6 over the time. We were 13 months, so 6, yeah. So I got popped around a bit. Yeah, 6 left. 6 left, yeah. 6 left, yep. Yeah, in about an hour or so. Just trying to send you e-transfer. Thank you, brother. I fucking appreciate that, man. You don't know how much. Very much appreciate it. All these donations do help. Everything keep going. That's wicked. And Laird had sent one before, too, and I appreciate that, too, brother. All you guys are helping me out. We'll keep getting it better. I just can't wait for spring, and I'm going to be getting these events on 2 wheels, and we'll do the lives from the events. It'll be a lot of fun this summer. So they also had a career criminal that Kalstein had recruited, Frank Mather, who was his bodyguard. So during the trial in 2009, the Crown attorney, was Kevin Gowdy was the Crown, eh? Took to referring to the men gathered at Kalstein's farm as the farm crew. And it is by that name there. No, they're not. Kalstein treated the junior banditos like slaves, expecting them to do all his housework for them. Gardner was a man of very limited intelligence who Kalstein had once asked to supply him with pickles from a pickle tree growing on his farm, which led him to spend hours looking for the elusive pickle tree. That's an old fucking probate tale. Everyone tells that story. At the beginning of April, Kalstein accused one of the No Surrender crew, Flans, of being a police informer. As Flans was Jewish, and Kalstein, with his love for swastikas, was not much for Jewish people. But Boxer didn't think that it bugged Wayne that much. He should have taken it a little more serious, I think. But sell the matter, it was agreed the No Surrender crew would visit Kalstein's farm to discuss the claims. Most of the No Surrender crew lived in Toronto and in Keswick and around Toronto. Kalstein insisted that the meeting be held at his farm, and Boxer agreed. Kalstein also stated that Sandom and some other members of the Winnipeg chapter were staying with him, which was intended as a bait, as he knew the relations between Boxer and Sandom were poor. Oh, so he baited him out there saying, hey, I got so-and-so out here. So it sounds like they still had no clue they were going out there to get their shit pulled. I think they had it in the back of their mind. They must have. The one guy even showed up in his tow truck. Like, why would you show up at a club meeting with a tow truck unless you thought it was important? You had to get there right away, right? And you're out there on the highway working that night. On the night before the massacre, Calstein and his Kamalatina, and his daughter, together with another girlfriend, leave the farm, say no woman could be present at the church. And despite the rules forbidding bringing guns to church, Raposo brought a sawed-off shotgun with him to the meeting. He knew his enemy, Sanum, was going to be present. Boxer believed nothing would happen to him at the church meeting, seeing his only enemy as Sanum, and believed that his brother Calstein would never betray him. Unknown to the No Surrender crew, a team of detectives investigating Dowse's murder followed them all the way down the 401, all the way right to his farm. So that's what it was. They weren't sitting on the farm. They were following the Toronto guys about the murdering of that black fella, the nose candy guy. During the trip to Calstein's farm, Acorn called Raposo on himself in the prison line to tell him, "I love you, bro," over and over again. Did not mention his call to Wayne. Holy fuck. During the call, Acorn also spoke with Boxer and Edwards wrote, faced with the chance to alert Boxer and Chopper as they drove down to Calstein's farm. Acorn said nothing, betraying his presence with his silence on the night of the murder. Chopper was the guy who came and pulled my old lady's broken car. That was his name, Chopper. He's an older fella. But back then he was older than me anyway. The policeman following the No Surrender crew had no warrant to enter the farm, and provide wide open views in all directions. Police decided not to compromise by getting too close, so they parked several miles away while the whole damn thing was going on. Unbelievable. Let's pop back into the chat for a second. Kevin, thank you, brother. Much love and respect to you too, my man. And thanks for popping in on the TikTok live. I dig it. Thanks everyone who popped in. We still got a bit to go. Yeah, Pfizer Jungle. Oh, okay. You can get e-transfer. Really have PayPal. Yeah. PayPal's the exact same email address, bro. Or e-transfer, either or. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking a good summer, man. CNC respect. Fuck yeah. Will Ashley, good to see you tonight, bro. My wife one time told me there was a bike show, so I rode, and it ended up being a 1%er event. But before I went any further, told who and what I did for a living and would leave, but they were all cool. Oh, that's nice. So it wasn't like a closed event or anything. That's cool. Boxer was mellow. Yeah, Boxer was a cool guy. You probably would know him better than I would, but he was a good guy, man. I liked him. VPS, hey, you found Bob up here in fucking cold Canada. It's cold this week, isn't it, bro? Especially where you are. Yeah, 100%. It's fucking freezing. I read the book and talked to you guys in Winnipeg, and that fuck from Winnipeg was a dirty fuck. That's a drag, eh? Like I say, that Sandom guy was popping around the Outlaw Clubhouse, was looking for a probate patch before he found Wayne. And everyone just kind of, and the funniest thing was we already had an informant in the club, and it was our informant that brought this other guy, another informant, to try to get him in the club. He was like, fuck off. So it was a fucking weird situation, man. To continue, like I said, they were cool and asked about the prisons I worked, but yes, I retired a couple times, but they asked. Yeah, they made sure you were retired. Yeah. And I called for my friend real. I give them lost their lives by really two that kept us going. Exactly. It was just two guys that were kind of out there, right? Thanks, Grant. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for popping in again this evening. If you haven't got Bob's book yet, you should get it. 100%. Thanks for that, Chris. Yeah, man, 100%. Get that book. Now, is your minus 40 Mum Iron Ranger? Because you guys are cold in Minnesota. Is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? Because I think we're supposed to be around that same temperature in Celsius in Manitoba. Are you getting the polar vortex that Manitoba's getting? I bet you are. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for popping in tonight, brother. You felt it, Bob, in the stomach, didn't you? Yeah, fucking right. So close. Oh yeah, this one was very close, right? And like you say, I knew a lot of these cats and almost all these cats from one place or another. And then when you realize where it happened and who was involved, and it's almost like, oh fuck, really? They just had to, eh? So here we are. So here we are in the night where it all happened, right? So this is, I don't know. Well, I guess it's probably from. They had two snitches at the end of the day, didn't they? Yeah, the two guys in initials, and I think that Sandom guy. And you know what? April 7 is the same fucking night that our guys um were murdered at the Beef Baron, bro. Isn't that crazy? The exact same date, April 7. A meeting at Calistein's farm attended by two factions began at 10:30 when the No Surrender crew entered the barn. The barn was full of rusting machinery, old furniture, and children's toys. Well, its walls were decorated with pornographic photos and biker shit and, and his Nazi stuff. Calstein instructed his guests to stay in the middle where he had cleared out some space. One, he didn't put plastic on the floor. Sandom was standing in the rafters with a rifle. So he must have been up in the hayloft, right? Well, Mushi and Mather and Aravana and MH were patrolling outside, armed with rifles and shotguns. And Gardner listened to the police scanners inside the house. According to one version of the events, upon entering the bar, Chopper saw Sandom and realized he'd been betrayed and fired at him. Sandom was only slightly injured. He was wearing a vest and returned fire and killed him. And that's killed Raposo. However, Raposo's favorite gesture was to give the finger, and the autopsy revealed that at the time of his death, Raposo had raised his middle finger with the rest of his fingers clenched. So he gave him the finger when he was getting shot at. Sandom was a well-known path. So Sandom tried saying that Raposo shot first. And it's not entirely clear what happened other than Raposo was giving Sandom the finger at the time when Sandom used his skills as a marksman to put a bullet through it. Two of the No Surrender crew, Paul Big Polly and George Crash, attempted to flee but were shot down and wounded by Calstein, who was armed with a handgun. Calstein shouted, "Everyone get on the floor. Nobody move. I'm here to pull your patches. This is being done by orders of the United States leadership of the Bandidos." Over the next 2 hours, Calstein frequently changed his mind about whether he was going to pull his patches or execute the No Surrender crew. At one point, allowed Boxer to call his girlfriend on his cell, provided he didn't say anything stupid. Boxer told Lee, "How's the baby? I'll see you in a couple hours. I love you." The macho Boxer opted to be faithful to the Outlaw Bikers Code of never asking for help and did not alert Lee to his predicament, instead asking about how their daughter was doing. Calstein drank heavily over the course of the night and ranted to his prisoners about his grievances with them. Calstein pistol whipped Franz several times and told him, "I'm saving you for last, you fucking Jew." Nice guy. Kyriakis, who was wounded in the thigh, prayed to God and asked that his captors spare him, as his family would miss him. His wife he loved back home, but was told, "Shut up." Kyriakis prayed in Greek while Sinope cried, saying he never wanted to come to Calstein's farm, which led to both of them being told by another prisoner, Frank the Bammer Salerno, "We're bikers. We're not fucking Boy Scouts. Stop your whining." Several times Calstein asked Boxer to join him, despite the way he was attempting to depose him as the national president, but he firmly declined, instead asking that an ambulance be called for the two guys that were bleeding to death. Boxer also defended Flans against charge of being disloyal. Calstein was a admirer of Nazi Germany and had issues with Jewish Flans. Finally, Calstein decided to execute the No Surrender crew. And they're all taken out one by one and shot execution style in what Ontario Court of Appeal described as an execution assembly line. Around midnight, Constable Perry Graham of the OPP, doing his nightly patrol around the countryside in his cruiser, ran into the surveillance team sitting in the wooded lane in the dark to ask them what they were doing, and learned what they were investigating the murder of Douse. At about 12:30, the surveillance team went home, having noticed nothing. Unbelievable, eh? They were just down the road, man. Okay, let's go back to the chat for a minute. I don't know what all this is saying on the TikTok side, but anyway, thanks for joining me, everyone on TikTok. I do appreciate it. Going to be minus 42 where you're working tomorrow. Yeah, you're north of the Sioux. Hey, fuck that. Did you know Rand Rivard? I don't think so. Randy Rivard. The name's almost bouncing around. I'm not sure. Oh, are they really nomadic? Because I know there's a minus and a plus 40 in the equation to switch them from one temp to the other. When you get to minus 25, it's all the same. Yeah, you're right, Joker Smoker. You're 100% right, man. Hey, man, it's telling me my life's going to fucking end. What kind of bullshit is this? Why would my life end? So I give you so much time on TikTok? That's fucking weird. Give you minus 5 in the morning where you are, Gary, in Michigan. I'm already with minus 32 days. Fuck all that. I hate it. Niagara's been cold, eh? Huh. Real feel is minus 50. Yeah, it is. It is fucking gross. I hate that. All right. Well, you guys want to hear how this one ended up? I think we're at the end. We'll pull this one together. Crazy old story about some crazy old dudes. So the men were marched out and shot. Kalstein, who was drinking heavily that night, danced a jig while singing, I don't know, some crazy Nazi song, I think. Between dancing his jig and singing the anthem and executing his prisoners, Kalstein will go over to torment Flans, realizing he was doomed. Boxer said, do me first. I want to go out like a man. Police wiretap recorded that Mushy told Verana about Boxer's execution. This guy, he went out like a man. He laughed, went like a man. Fucking poor guy. Kalstein personally executed Boxer, who had once been his friend. Boxer was marched out of the barn, forced to sit in his car, and then shot in the head at point-blank range, followed by another shot to his chest. The next to be killed was Kyriakis, who prayed in Greek, and he went out and he was shot. Mushy, speaking to MH some weeks later, and unaware that the latter was wearing a wire, said he was surprised how much Kyriakis cried as he was marched out to be shot, saying he expected a fellow outlaw biker to be tougher. George Pony Jessam went out next, not saying a word. Sinopoli was taken out, crying and screaming hysterically, saying that he really wished that he had not attended this meeting if he wanted to. Sinopoli was shot but survived while Kalstein's gun jammed. Arabina then had to fetch Kalstein another gun, which he then used to finish off Sinopoli, who had been left bleeding and in great pain in the interval. Flans, another of the No Surrender crew, Michael Little Mickey Trotta, were ordered to clean up the blood on the ground using bleach. At this point, Kalstein began to rant about he was such a hard worker. He was doing such a great job killing the No Surrender crew, who were not thankful for his hard work, as he expected them to appreciate his work in killing them. As Kalstein went in and out of his barn with prisoners to kill, none of his colleagues, the majority of whom had guns, made any effort to free the prisoners or to shoot Kalstein. Though they were all to claim at the trial that they wanted to stop Kalstein, even those who did not have guns like Gardner could have called the police, as well as all the farm crew. Had cell phones or access to a phone, but none of them did. Gardner had a telephone right beside him as he listened to the scanner, and he never called. He wanted to be a full patch bandito so bad. Once the killers, who were later turned Crown evidence known as only MH, stated one of the victims, Frank Bammer Slarino, tried to shake his hand with MH testifying in 09. Bammer went to shake my hand. I didn't do it. Dwight did. Salerno had also tried to shake Averana's hand, but he declined, saying, I'm not shaking your hand. As Salerno was marched out to be shot, his last words to his killers were to think of his newborn son, Mario. Flanz was shot last in order to ensure that he would suffer the most because he was Jewish, and he talked much about his children and as he waited for his time to die. Trotta was taken out to be shot, not saying a word, and finally Flanz was killed. Gardner removed the children's toys from the back of Trotta's Grand Prix to make room for Flanz, while M.H.R. Avena, Mushy, and Mather watched. By this point, Calistine was too drunk to kill Flanz. Well, M.H.R. Avena, Mushy, and Mather watched. By this point, Calistine and instead Sandham shot him in the head. Sandham was too nervous to aim properly despite shooting at point blank range, and Flanz was still alive after Sandham had shot him. As Flanz looked up with a sad expression as if begging with his eyes to save his life, Sandham could not bring himself to kill him, claiming his gun was jammed. Finally, Mushy was a more experienced killer than Sandham, took the gun and proved it was not jammed by finishing off Flanz with another shot to the head. Nice guys. That's some good bros, that is. And this is the craziest part, how they said they were going to get away with it and dispose the bodies. They jammed them all into the vehicles that they came in, and they were told to take them down to Kitchener to make it look like 81 did it, because Kitchener has got a chapter of 81 there. And as they were going on the highway, they realized half the cars had fuck all for gas in them. So they drove them around right down by my fucking where my mother lives, and maybe 10 miles from her house. And you know the farm lanes that go up beside the field, you know, maybe a tree row there. They took all the cars, and there's a 4x4, and there's, like say, a tow truck, and they parked them all there. And they're all found the next morning by a farmer driving by, right? So that was it. They're all found the very Sunday morning. And that was it. 8 guys in total. 8 guys. What a fucking animal. It's gonna be 18 in Texas. So because I think that they're gonna kick me off of TikTok, I'm gonna let it go till it stops me. But I want to thank everyone who stopped in and watched on TikTok. I'm gonna keep doing the lives when I go live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you enjoyed it, you know, give me a thumbs up or something like that. And if you want to, you're always welcome to come over and join the YouTube channel and all that stuff. And again, like I said, I thank you everyone who watches. It means the world to me. And I'm gonna go through the chat here on the YouTube, and we'll end things off with saying goodbye to everyone and see what everyone's saying. And there's my dog. He's got something to say about it. Anything left in the grocery stores? Yeah, they always pack up, don't they? Oh, they are emptying the place. AK Wayne, that's fucking funny. I swear we seem like Florida some days. Worse than what the 81 did in Quebec. This ripped at me, bro. Yeah, it was a fucking bad one, that one, bro, because you know, fucking Boxer was a good guy, and so were the other guys, man. They were good guys. Wayne is out there, and he's still out there, man. Well, he's inside. I don't think he's ever going to, like, get out. But he's still fucking alive. Who was the rat? One of the guys who died, or one of the guys that came to help take their patches? The guys who helped take the patches. The one guy that were even in this thing on Wikipedia, they only got him referred to by initials. MH or something like that, or whatever it was, man. Yeah. And I think Sandham testified too at the end, but he had already killed the guy, so he wasn't a secret or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was a horrible story, eh, Mountain Woman? That's one of the worst stories that I know of in Canadian bikers. And it's contemporary. It's not that long ago, right? Oh, and thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. I always do. Thank you, Mountain Woman. And yeah, K Wayne, Texas is 18. I know, eh? 18. Good night, crew. Good night, Kurt. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for popping in tonight, man. And I'll see you again tomorrow, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, well, we got some polar vortex going up here in fucking Canada, K Wayne. It's bullshit, but it hasn't hit Ontario yet, thankfully. Yeah, yeah. They're acting like well, last time it snowed in Texas, fucking people died. That's crazy. Can't get wild, that's it. Yeah. I read the book and it really fucking hurt. Yeah, I know, eh? I know, bro. That book's a fucking it's a it took me a minute to fucking write it, I tell you that much. And I wrote it from how I felt when it was happening, back then. You know what I mean? So it got me a few times. Claire, good to see you tonight, brother. Thanks for popping in. I don't know if you were around earlier. We did what's called the Shedden Massacre. The only time the Banditos tried to set up shop in Canada. And unfortunately, one of the guys that they got in, it was a total fucking madman. Total madman. Yeah, that's right, Mountain Woman. R.I.P. Fucking right. And then they knew that they were going, and they went out. What a bummer, man. Do you wish I'll be okay, nomadic? With no, he's just bugging you, Kurt. He's just telling you go get your freak on if you're gonna. But no, I know you're taking it more serious. Kurt, you have a safe night. Fucking right, Doug. That was all messed up situation. It really was. It really was, Jay. And anyone that knew Wiener knew he could stay up for 4 or 5 days. And like you say, it was all messed up, bro. It was a sad one. What's TikTok saying? TikTok's, I don't know, it's a weird one because they're not giving me the comments that much, man. They're telling me to. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, they ran out of gas, Alex. You're right. Yep. Yeah, just another loner. Thank you, brother. You joined the loners instead, yeah. Oh, these guys knew some stuff. Jesse is my brother. Good man. Nice. Thanks, guys. Small world. Pro Cafe. Yeah, I did the story on Pro Cafe. That was a great story. I knew Frank. Yeah, I knew Frank. Or no Frank, or knew him. San Quentin stories and patrol details. Oh, okay. That's AI's telling me what to talk about. Okay. Okay. I'm glad I went. So I'm glad that somebody suggests that. Thanks, Doug. I went through the TikTok comments. Right on, guys. Say thanks for commenting and getting involved. I appreciate that. You did some time in San Quentin. Fuck, hey, Papa Smurf. Thanks for popping in, bro. Yeah, I did a story on some guys from the HA chapter. You're in the Bay for 8 years. That's a crazy place, eh? Crazy, crazy place. I think I knew crazy because everyone knew crazy, right? I lived in the Sioux for a short time. After I was out of the club that I was in, I lived in the Sioux. And the Sioux and Sudbury, a lot of back and forth, right? Oh, no problem, Kevin. I wouldn't have any other words for crazy, man. I'm glad that people found it respectful. I appreciate that because it's kind of hard sometimes. You don't want to disrespect nobody. 100% you don't want to, man. But yeah, I met Crazy a few times. He was always respectful and treated me well. Right on, Daddy. Too many. Good to meet you, bro. Thanks for popping in. They didn't want to patch over. They died with honor, their name, and the patch they wore. Right on, man. Thanks, Sneaker. I just wanted to say thanks. Okay, no problem, Kevin. I appreciate you, bro. Oh, they were the No Surrender crew, and I was with them in the last few weeks. Oh, that sucks, bro. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Your family's from Chatham. Good to meet you, Gringo. Well, we're pretty close to each other, bro. Yeah, that's another reason I wanted to do this story as respectful as I could because, like I say, I think I've met every one of them guys that went down that night, man, and it was a horrible thing to happen, especially like I say in the Canadian biker scene. There's only one guy you would see do shit like that. And it was the guy that did it. You know what I mean? So what are you gonna do? Fuck. It just sucks. Do you remember Josh Darosh? Josh Darosh. Not off the top of my head, bro. No, I haven't seen what the news has been saying about him. I hope they haven't been saying shit about him. I was thinking about doing a story about him today too, instead of doing this one. But again, all I would get is what they put on fucking on Wikipedia and stuff, because I didn't know the man that, like, I didn't know him like we were friends knew him. You know what I mean? But everyone in Sudbury knew him, and then as far as I know, he went to Montreal and joined the club in Montreal. So he didn't do the 2000 patch over. He was already in, because I think he got hurt during the Bandito War, or the Rock Machine War. Sorry, I was a DJ there. Oh, Alex, so were you? That's how I joined up with the club. I was started out as a DJ, bro. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Nice, nice. So I got some love on the TikTok side too, man. I appreciate all you guys, man. You guys are awesome. I wasn't sure I wasn't sure how it would go on TikTok. You know what I mean? I always hear people fucking talking. Oh, everyone on TikTok's crazy. Well, I'm only gonna tell us whatever I do. I always tell on YouTube. I have a pup that tries to wear me like a coat, so I'll be warm. You'll be good, K-Lane. They say he got money to buy his farm by killing a guy. Know anything about that story? Fuck, he might have, bro. He might have, because as far as I know, he owned that farm outright cash. And during the time that I knew him, I didn't know anybody that did any business with him. But he never was worried about money. You know what I mean? A lot of people were scared to do business with him because if he didn't want to pay, what the fuck were you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Because he was the first guy to get the lead in the air. He did not mind at all. Yeah, really hits one of them guys like Bob. Yeah, especially the boxer, man. He was such a cool guy. I really liked him a lot. Yeah, man. You got it right. MH. Make sure you go to Vegas profile stories after this. Thank you for that, Joker Smoker. Yeah, man. Be easy, Kurt. It's all good. You know it. Yep. Wayne is never getting out. He can't. He can't ever get out. There's no way. I'm not sure if they bothered DOing him, but what did he get convicted of? 6 times 25? He was already, what, early 60s, late 50s when that happened? Going for a smoke. Good to see you, Joker. Thank you, brother. Yeah, that would be the rough way, because like you say, they were sitting in that barn knowing what the fuck they were doing. Oh, Nipigon, yeah, eh? Fucking right. It is so cold. Are you not a snowman? I'll tell you about snowy weather, Mr. Green Thumb in Ottawa. I heard that you guys are getting hit pretty good in Ottawa right now, too. Thanks, Kurt. Fucking right. Nice area. Yeah, it is nice up there. I lived that story. I know all about it. Oh, okay. I survived the bike war and the F-Cops overpower trip. Well, that's what happens, right? You open the door and you give these guys all these openings because there's all the press, and then the cops think that they got free reign and they'll roll right through you if they want to. Thanks for sharing these stories. Hey, no problem, Jay. I appreciate you watching, bro. Actually, Bob from the Rebel MC tried to patch in the bandits until Crazy Horse was killed in Edmonton. Then the ex-rebels became 81. Interesting, eh? Because the Rebel MC came from Australia. And I remember the first time I saw a post of them being in Ontario, and I was like, is that the Australia crew? And they said, yeah, it sure is. With the Rebel flag and all that on their back patch. So that's interesting. And then they were trying to go Banditos. Then it might have worked out there. They might have had a better luck if they didn't have Crazy Wiener in there. There's Rebels still in Alberta. Oh, that's cool to know. That is cool to know. Now, woman, you've been around a while. I partied at the athletic club in Saskatoon. Huh. I love, I hate when people say, do what you want, make you happy, or do you want it to be right? Exactly. And being right makes me happy. That's it, brother. That's it. Hey, Mouth of the South, good to see you tonight, my brother. Those are different rebels. Oh, okay. The new rebels are a fraction from the Australia ones. They stay low key because of 81. Okay. That's cool. Everyone's saying hello to everybody. His mom owned the farm. Oh, well, that's why he didn't have to fucking worry about paying a mortgage on it. Are you going to try to get a bigger following over there on TikTok, Doug? Yeah, man. We may as well, right? That makes sense, Laird. That makes 100% sense that he got it, from his mom's estate. Yeah, man, Doug Ross, that's right. Nobody wants to do business with a nut bar. Yeah, the Lennoxville story. We could get into that. I read that. They wrote a whole book on that. The book I read about that. This going back a lot of years. I read that book called Three Can Keep a Secret If Two Are Dead, I believe. That was a crazy story. I used to have a bumper sticker that said, "Trim bushes, don't elect them." I know, eh? Fuck, you thought they were going to be a dynasty. MP58-15, good to meet you. That's what we partied with him, was in Tweed. Thanks for fucking putting that in my ear, bro. I wonder why there's so much shit about being in the club. I just don't fucking remember until someone fucking mentions it to me. One life sentence cancels out the rest. Oh, so it's still like that in Canada, is it? They're not going to go 25-25. It's just 25. That's what Willie always said. Once you got one, the next one don't matter. Fuck, you're crazy, eh? -12 in Windsor, t-shirt weather. Anything minus double digits is fucked. Wayne Calcine is currently serving a life sentence for first-degree murder. He's been up for parole twice. Wow. He's eligible for parole at the end of his life sentence, which is typically 25 years. The story behind the Bandidos was 100 pounds of blow they thought they didn't have to pay. I heard a story about they towed a car that had somebody else's product in it. And Wiener was told, if you don't take care of these guys, we're taking care of you. So he took care of it. And it had nothing to do with back patches or no surrender or nothing. But who knows, right? It's easy to get lots of stories out there after the fact. Bob had weights in the joint, never got used in the corner. That was a social club. Bob had weights in the joint, never got used in the corner. It was a rebel place. Oh, okay. Oh, West, you mean? Party hardy till they all got clipped. Yeah. Thank you, T. Roy. Appreciate that, brother. And thanks for popping in. I like seeing new faces in the chat. It's a pleasure. And like I say, anytime you guys see me live, drop on in and throw some comments. Steve, you're from Canada. Good to meet you, brother. Thanks for coming in and checking it out on the TikTok side. Have a good night. Good night, brother. Just another loner. Good to see you, bro. Very good to see you guys. Yeah, man. That was a good night all the way around. I thank you guys. Did time with Big Red. Did you sponsor? Yeah. You got 8, I think. 10 or 15 years. Wayne Calcine is currently serving life sentence for first degree denied twice. Okay. That's all off the net. Yeah, I know. That's a problem. That what came out of the blow thing. A couple guys started talking. I did hear that story. Fuck, I hate name dropping, just getting to know each other. Yeah, man. Hey, TRC 275. Good to see you. Hope you're staying warm where you are. Get ready for that stupid vortex thing. I still remember the static timeline. Just static timeline. Lots of it is still on. Really, eh? He's got an interesting story. Walter, he was past his 10 or 15. It's got to be, eh? 06 it happened, right? Yeah, he's been in there a long time already. Scrap Iron's in the house. Good to see you tonight, brother. Always a pleasure. All right, guys. Well, that's us taking up the the Shedden story one more time, just because it's winter and there's fuck all rights to talk about, but at least we're keeping ourselves occupied. And I want to thank all you guys for popping in this evening. As always, it was a pleasure. And I couldn't do the show without everybody in the chat. And thank you, everyone on TikTok, for checking out the TikTok lives. I appreciate it. Like I say, I'm going to keep going every time I do a show. I'll be live on TikTok also. So thank you, everybody from TikTok. Much love and respect. And thank you, guys. Always on the YouTube. Yeah, Taking Care of Business, the other book. You're right. On YouTube, as always, much love, everybody. I'm going through the thing. I got to fix it up. Yeah, 20 years already. Wow. I got to fix it up. We should do membership soon, I believe. It'll be fucking nice. Yeah. Vortex is here. I remember last fucking polar vortex lasted for fucking ever, man. Don't worry, summer's coming by. There's always something happening. Always is, my brother. Always is. I comment to make you happy. Thanks for popping in, bro. Thank you, Mom Iron Ranger. Love you back. Good night, K. Wayne. Much love, brother. Good night, Blair. Much love. Laird, you too, bro. You stay solid, too. Good night, Mouth of South. All right. Good night, Handy Pelly. Thanks for joining us, Handy Pelly. It's been a pleasure you being in the chat lately. It's awesome. Hit the like button on your way out. And if you haven't yet, make sure you are subscribed. Live free and die hard. You got it, brothers. Thank you, guys. We'll see y'all again tomorrow night. Good night. Be safe and stay warm.
Biker News Canada, where the truth hits harder than the highway wind. From Ontario to the coast, Bob Javi rolls in. Let the real news begin. He's got the camera ready, catching sparks from every ride. Club stories, charity runs, every